Alright, so welcome to a new tutorial which is creating outdoor scene with Blender 2.8. Alright, so in this tutorial we are going to learn a lot of stuff, and this is probably my longest tutorial on the channel, but hopefully each tutorial we learn something new, so it's not going to be boring. It's actually going to be entertaining and interesting for you guys. So without wasting much time, let's just move on. Alright, so welcome back. This is Blender 2.8 and we are going to add a camera for the first object. We are going to add a camera, and what we are going to do with the camera is to try and make it track to a certain object in the scene. So we are going to add an empty and we make the camera track to this empty. So add the empty, place it to a location, select the camera, select the empty, then search for make track. Alright, then choose track to constraint. So now the camera will track to this empty. Alright, so search for make track, then track to constraint, and the camera is going to track to the empty wherever you place it. We are going to add a plane, and then this plane is going to be the landscape. Alright, so now this is the size of the plane. We are scaling it on the x-axis. This is the size of the plane now. So we are going to use two tricks, and this is how I use my grease pencil to create a certain landscape from a reference. The first method is called, I really call it the block method, or the block guiding lines. So this block guiding lines is we are going to make straight lines to block the landscape in the reference. So first we are going to create a road, because that's something which is very closely, like it's in front of the camera. So we are going to create we are going to make a reference for the road using the grease pencil. So the shortcut is you just have to press and hold D. Then when you click, your cursor is going to check to the grease pencil icon, and you'll be able to draw. So again, this is the block method and block guiding lines method, and we are using the grease pencil to do that. So we are trying to place the road at the right place, which will help us to draw the other ones. So we are using the reference at the bottom. So it's actually a scene from the movie Secret Life of Pets 2. So it's a scene which I thought was very interesting, and I took it and I thought of making it. Alright, so we are good with the road, so we are creating another landscape. We are blocking everything out using the grease pencil. So again, this is the block guiding lines method. So I'll use two tricks to create the landscape, and this first one didn't work for me, but I just thought of showing you guys because it might help you in other in any of your projects or any projects you'll be working on. Just I prefer you take a look at what I'm doing, then After I'm done with the second method, then you choose what you think you will use for your scene and move on. So I just extended the plane, which is the ground, because the other side was in the camera, so I was trying to fix it. So again, I'm using the reference below to get the landscape right. Alright, so I'm changing the color of the guiding line so that I can separate, or I can understand what each lines mean on the plane. So I'm going for a green color, and so press D first, then draw. Alright. So you can see it's looking good in the top view, but in the camera view it's not looking correct. So I have to undo and remake it again to get the look I'm looking for. So that was the reason why I went for the second method, because the first method was looking good in the top view but wasn't looking good in the camera view, but the second method worked for both. So again, I'm showing this first method because this might work for you. Alright, so let's extend the road. Alright, so this is the path for the river. So I'm going to subdivide this to not a very high number, because I wanted to maintain a very low res ground so that it doesn't cause a problem during the parts where we start adding the grass and the trees. Because I knew we are going to add a lot of grass, so I didn't want to use high-res models in the beginning. So I'm changing the fall off to this, and this what we are getting from the fall off. So the stage you will know that these guiding lines won't work for you is at the sculpting part. That's the part you start to sculpt the shapes out, and that's when you notice things are looking wrong. So in a few minutes you understand why I went for the second method, and you can see I've added a shape key, but I just like to add a shape key to my models before I do sculpts. So it will look good in the top view, but in the camera view was looking something else. And you can see I always smooth things out after sculpting. I decided to change the focal length of the camera to see whether it will fix the other parts which are not in the camera. Even the second method, I use this focal length to get things inside the camera. So for the focal length, it works along with the first method and the second method. So for now we are going to keep the reference at the bottom here, but when we are done with the landscape, we are going to get rid of it so that we don't get distracted by it. Alright, so I'm going to use the second method, which is the curve guiding line. So it's something I just came up with. It's not a pro thing. It's something I came up with. So don't search about it because you won't get it. So I'm going to use the curve guiding lines, and this one actually worked for this scene. So again we will start with creating the road, creating the guiding line for the road, and we will continue from the other shapes on the landscape. And remember, we have an empty as the lookout for the camera, so you can move that tool to get the camera at the right angle. So the difference between the curve and the block guiding lines is the lines now will be curved, as the name says it. So it will be curved rather than drawing it straight from one end to another end. So the curved one was actually what really worked for this scene. And don't draw in the camera, cause it will look good in the camera but not right in the top view. So this is the second road ahead, and you can see it's looking almost right. Alright, so then this is the third road, and you can see every part, all the edges are not showing inside the camera, which is the extreme right and the extreme left. They are not showing the camera, so this method was working good for me. Trying to get the angle from the reference, so we are not going to obviously we won't end up getting the exact look in the reference, but we are going to try and get something similar or something very close to the reference. So I just added another layer for the grease pencil. So you can see for this one, things are working very great. We are getting so these are just some rough sketches, or just they are just guiding lines, so they don't need to be perfect. They are just going to help you know where to place your stuff. So this is the first one, and you can see the second one. So you can see it's a huge difference, and the second one is looking good for this scene. So now we are going to sculpt the shapes out using the guiding lines. So this is the first one, and then we smooth the surface after we have the shape we want. Alright, so you can take a look once in a while in the camera view to see what's going on. So I really took my time to get things right here at this part, because if I end up getting things wrong here, it's very obvious that everything is going to look wrong at the end. So I really took my part to get things right here. So now you know the two method, which is the block and the curve. So you try and see which one will work for you, and then just do it. So we are creating the other shapes too. So we bring it out, then we smooth it. So even though on the top view the huge one is curved a little, but in the camera view you can see it doesn't look curved. That's another thing to get you confused when creating landscapes like this. Alright, so I'm going to use the move tool or the grab tool to bring out the shapes more, get the shapes as seen in the reference. You can see things are looking good now. So we are not done with the guiding lines. Actually, you end up creating a lot of guiding lines in order to finish this scene. So this is not the end of using the guiding lines. We will come back to it at the right time. So trying to get the shapes in the reference. And also do your best to get smooth faces, because if they are not smooth, it's going to take effect on the grass. I'm trying to get the path for the river, at least the idea of where the river will be. Alright, so I'm trying to create some landmarks to guide me on creating the shapes. So this, I'm creating this to give me an idea of where the bridge will be. So we have one for the river, and now with the idea, with us having the one for the river, we are able to create where the bridge will be. So this stage is just blocking things out, but and you can see they are not looking that good, but we are going to get things looking very good as time goes on. So I just smoothed the ground to get, and I'm saving. So I'm still trying to define the position of the bridge, because it was looking alright in the camera view, but in the top view it was looking something else. So I'm trying to get good shapes both in the views. Move. And also 95 of the textures we are going to use will be procedural textures, so it's going to be fun. The only images we use will be the sky, which is the HDRI, and the back texture for the tree. The rest will be procedural, so it's going to be fun creating that too. So I had no idea where the river was flowing from and flowing to. So I just guessed it. So now you can see the road is starting to take shape. Alright, so we are almost done with the landscape. Still trying to get the shapes right. Alright, so you can see we are pretty close to the guiding lines, and it's not bad. Only the road is looking a bit off, but it works okay for me. So I keep rotating around to see whether everything is looking good, because it might look good in the camera view but not on other views or other angles. So again, you need to get the shapes right here before you move to the next step, or this will end up looking bad during the rendering stage. Alright, so these are the guiding lines, and not bad, not bad. We were close enough. So you can see the bridge is a little backwards, the road. So let's try and fix that. And so don't forget, you can use the empty to change the camera angle, and also the camera focal length to get things right. Alright, so let's fix this part. Alright, so you can see the changes we have made by just changing the value of the shape key. one thing about this thing is it takes a lot of tweaking to get things right. So I'll be tweaking and changing a lot of settings as time goes on to make things look right. So expect a lot of tweaks from this tutorial or from this series. You can see things are looking much better now. Alright, so let's go ahead and fix this part because it's way inside the camera. Alright, so let's add a plane to serve as the river so that we can define that side very well. Okay, so this is going to be the river. Let's change the color to something like a river color of blue. Alright, so we are going to make it a little deep. So in the reference, we couldn't see where the river was flowing from or flowing to. So I just left it like this because it won't be seen in the final render either. so I'm trying to hide it so that it doesn't show in the final render, because in the reference it wasn't showing, so we have no idea where it was leading to. So things are starting to look close to the reference now. Things are starting to look close to the reference now, and it's a good thing. We just need to tweak some parts, and we'll be done with the landscape soon. So I'm setting up the resolution. You can choose to do it, you can choose not to, but I just wanted to set up the resolution for the scene. So let's save, and we are done. This is the end of the first part of the tutorial. So hopefully I hope you learned something in this part, and we are going to continue in the second part of the tutorial. Thanks for watching, and subscribe if you haven't. Alright, meet you in the next tutorial.